Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Yes, this is the Female Solution, and we've got another solution for you. I'm Naima Latif, executive producer, and we are introducing you to another brilliant mind and a new host that will be coming to you every second and fourth Sunday of the month. She's an educator, but more importantly, she is an innovator. The title of her show is Education Nation, and she'll be airing live every second and fourth Saturday here on the Female Solution to help us overcome what is clearly a crisis in literacy so that we can empower this generation of minds to learn how to simply read. So without further ado, we're going to bring on the lady that will tell us about our literacy crisis. We have a literacy crisis, and she's going to help us with a solution. Let us welcome to the show my dear sister, Michelle Renee. Woohoo! Well, for those who've been following the Female Solution, we know you're no stranger to the show. You've been a guest on our wonderful Gathering of the Griots show with Asada. And she's all about everything literary. And we're so grateful that you're joining our team here to address something that is quite an issue that needs to be talked about and resolved. When did you first recognize there was a crisis in the whole literary situation in our education?
Well, I've been an educator for over 40 years. I began as a teacher's aide at 19 in 1977, and I recognized it immediately then. Usually, we have in classrooms a small body of students um, uh, who whose academic and reading levels aren't the same as the rest of the class. So I was charged with taking that small group of children in a preschool class who didn't know their alphabet yet, and they should have learned their alphabet
Oh, wow.
months ago. So I started there, and so in doing that, I learned how to use scientific techniques to teach reading. I took a couple of reading classes where I could become an expert in teaching reading, and I've taught many young people how to read in preschool and kindergarten up to third grade. And I've also taught I taught all levels, beginning with preschool, and now I teach at a college in the community. And the literacy problem has not um, subsided. We have the same literacy problem that I experienced when I first was a teacher's aide in 1977. We have the same problem now, and I teach on the college level.
Wow.
Some students come to me for freshman English that write like they're writing a text message. No punctuation, no capitalization. The sentences don't flow. Um, so yeah, I first learned about, I experienced this crisis in 1977, and I still see this crisis in 2026.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm not surprised. And our dear sister, Zelda Speaks from the Higher Learning Network says, Community rocks. We are the original teachers. Everyone,
We
copy
are.
excellence. Welcome to the
Yes.
Female Solution.
And that's what I want to do with this new show is I want to promote, and there's not a lot we can do with school systems, And I don't want to, focus on the negativity in school systems. But what I do want to do is build an army of parents, family, friends, community people at churches and community centers, so we can get back to what Zelda just said. Our community is our responsibility. Making sure that the young people in our circles are literate is our responsibilities. Let's get back to that.
That makes all the sense in the world. And I really see how things have changed because of the heavy, I guess, reliance on electronics to teach.
Oh, yes.
And so that just created a shift. And we've got another comment here. Of course, our own Asada from Soulful Chicago Book Fair says, "We love an expert." Yes, we do. And this is an expert for you. That's one of the things that I think it really helps us to grow when we see somebody who's been in the business, in the trenches, you've been in the schools, you see the trends, and whatever we see happening in the schools, that's what we're going to get in the society.
That's what we're going to get. And the reason why technology has reshaped how children learn is because the brain is flexible through a process called neuroplasticity, and it shifts technology. The A lot of technology, when students or children use only technology for reading and for learning, it has shifted the way their brain functions. Their cognitive habits have shifted, and they don't grow as far as brain science and brain education in a way that they used to or we used to. So we need to not don't I don't want to focus on the non-use of technology because it's not going anywhere. And we do need to be literate as far as technology is concerned. But do we need so much of it?
Well, that's the thing. Knowing how to regulate new things that happen. I remember when suddenly everybody has a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And the school that I was teaching at DuSable Leadership Academy and also Betty Shabazz International Charter Schools. And these excellent schools, uh, created to be African centered and focusing on culture and all of that. But then came the time when everybody had a cell phone and it was a distraction. So we were trying to figure out, how do we, is there a way to use this so that it can help with the learning? But at the time, there just didn't seem to be a way. So we had to go through this procedure of, you got to, take the child's cell phone, you had to turn it in the beginning of the day and get it at the end of the day and all that. And then the question came, and some parents were saying, well, what about, if there's an emergency? Now we have all these insanities with people invading schools. And so it's just, but yet you have all of this information that's coming on your cell phone, and then students are texting all the time, so they are writing, but like you said, now they speak in text talk. So when you have to write an essay,
they write in text talk. I see that every day. But what we need is a balance. We just need a balance. We don't need too much of anything. We don't need to not read an ebook. Ebooks are wonderful. My daughter is an avid reader, and she listens to ebooks while she's working. But we don't need to do just that. She also reads books. You see all these books behind me? Mm-hmm. She's got a bookshelf that looks just like mine too. So we need to have a diversity. We need a balance. We need to get our children accustomed to reading books again. And we need to make sure that they are literate as far as technology is concerned. There is a digital divide where there are still families who don't have laptops and computers in their homes still in 2026. So we do need to resolve that digital divide, but we also need to make sure that they are still reading books.
Well, now that's a thing because, you know, it's a, it really becomes a reflection of how you were raised. Like, how
Yeah.
did your parents introduce you to reading? Were they readers? Did you grow up reading? How were
Well,
you inspired to
of
even be a
course,
teacher?
of course, we didn't have technology, but my mother made sure that I had a library card. And she
Mm.
also made sure that I had books in the house that I liked to read and magazines that I liked to read. At the time, there was a teen magazine. She made sure she got a subscription to that. And I started getting those subscriptions at 12,
Wow.
almost almost toward the time I would be 13 soon. So that's how she started. With my own children, I have 5 children. The oldest is 43. The youngest two are 31. I have twins. So
Mhm.
what I did for them is a couple of things. We had an hour of reading time in our home every day.
Wow.
If my husband was home from work, he joined our reading hour,
Ooh,
and
that's nice.
everybody read. My children saw me reading. Everybody had a book, and we were reading for 1 hour a day on school nights. And
Wow.
then on the days where there was no school, whether it would be Saturday, Sunday, or holiday, or summer break or spring break, we read for 2 hours
Wow.
every day. And how did we get all those books? The first thing that we did when you decide what furniture your children's bedroom is going to have. They had the bed, they had the dressers, and all those things to keep their things organized. But they also had a bookshelf.
Bookshelf. Oh, that's so
Everybody
key.
had a
Yes.
bookshelf in their bedrooms, and
That
we kept
is a big key.
rotating those books. We take them to the library. Everybody had library cards so they can get new books, take those books back, get new books on their bookshelves, and then we took them to the a bookstore too. At the time, Barnes and Nobles was on 95th Street near Western. We
Mm.
spent time in the bookstore where they were sitting on the floor and reading books, and sitting in the cafe and reading books. And when we left the bookstore after reading books, we used the bookstore like a library. But
Wow.
everybody walked out of the library with a bag of books.
That's powerful.
Depending on how much funds were available, they may only get one book or
Mm.
three books. It depended um, on the time. But so those are small things that we did to ensure our children were readers, and small things my mother did to make sure that I was a reader, and my siblings read.
That is a powerful thing. And I want you all to listen. If you're a mother with children that are in school age, these are little things that you can do
Small things.
to make sure your children have a love of reading. I am
Hmm.
so grateful that my parents encouraged us to be readers and then later writers,
Yeah,
because my mother read to us every night from that big book, Grimm's fairy tales, and all those
yeah,
classic fairy tales. We read all of
yeah.
that. And she would read to us
Hmm.
every night before we went to bed. That was our nightly ritual when we were little.
Yeah,
And then my father, he worked at the post office, and they had these books, these empty ledger books, just green books, just empty, just looked lines in them. They were going to toss them out, and so he said, "Well, just give them to me. I'll take them home to my daughters." And my oldest sister, she was maybe like 9 or 10, and she's
hmm,
about 10 because I'm 8, 7 years younger than her, and
yeah,
my other sister was like 7. So and I was just like 4 or 3. Anyway, he brought these books home to them, and they started writing stories.
yeah.
And next thing you know, I mean, their imaginations just went wild. And my oldest sister, her stories got so popular. The neighborhood children would sit around and listen to her read her stories out of
That's
this book.
awesome.
So, and now we're all authors, all
That's
writers, and we're
awesome.
working on a book together. And we're
Yeah.
going to be, introducing Growing Up
Hmm.
Charles. That was my maiden name, my last name.
Awesome.
And it started with those empty books with lines in them that somebody was
Yeah.
going to toss out. And my father just saw, oh, these are books my daughters can read, and they can write. And
One
that's what
thing about
started.
children, when you give them something and you don't know what they're going to do with it. They create all kinds of things with that.
Yes.
The toys that we used to have, we didn't play with toys because my mother couldn't afford them. But we play with anything. We create something with anything. And I had my nieces over here one day, and there was a box that I hadn't thrown out yet. I bought some books, and I put them on the shelf, so the box was still in the house. They made a scooter out of the box.
Wow. But
They
that's what we
created something
did.
that's what children do when you
Create.
um they create, and that's part of literacy too.
Yes.
Creating. That's one of the four C's of literacy. Communication. So your parent read to you, and I'm sure they talk to you about the book and the characters and the theme
There
and
was
all of
always a
that.
moral of the
That's
story.
part of
That's
literacy too.
how you teach values through these
That's
stories.
how you teach values. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we got to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want you to share how you encourage the neighborhood and your community to read with your
Okay.
public library.
Okay.
So we'll be right back after this quick break. So stay with us. We're introducing Michelle Renee with Education Nation. We'll be right back. So stay with us.
Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair.
Hey family, this is Charles Humphrey of MCH Publishing, and I'm here with Ashada, and we at the Soulful Chicago Book what?
This is the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair, slamming.
We getting down in Hyde Park. Just run it down, my sister. Just tell us, for the people, a little bit about what we're doing here today and why.
You know, this is the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair, and this month is very important. I feel like we don't give it the type of recognition that it needs. But beyond that, I do all things literary, and we have so many ancestors that have taken a tradition of writing and done great things. Well, we have those of us that are carrying on that tradition, and nobody knows about them until now. So the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair is allowing us to tell our stories according to ourselves for our own benefit, and it's just beautiful. I mean, she could have been here today if you wasn't here, but if you were, it would have been amazing. People came in consistently, children, and we have children's authors, we have nonfiction authors, we have fiction authors. This is really good, and it's about taking our own power in our own hands and doing what we do on the literary tip, though.
Right.
I gotta work, but I can't help it. Everything going to school. Now I just about bring my African shit like this. Bring it the African shit.
Yes, there it is, the Soulful Chicago.
Soulful Chicago Book Fair.
Encouraging literacy. And literacy is so important. That's how you open a child's mind. That's how you travel anywhere in the world through a book.
Yeah.
It's so much more powerful than just giving them something on a screen to watch, because then they don't have to use their mind to create an image. So literacy is important. It's an important part of, I believe, the development of intelligence. So
yes,
now you did something that I want to do it myself.
Okay.
But tell us about your public library that you created outside your home.
Well, 5 years ago, my middle son bought me a building. And so moving from the place I was in to where I am now, I had so many books because I'm a book buff. So I collected so many books, and I didn't want to throw them out. And I tried to get a book depository to come pick them up, but they didn't show up. I made 3 appointments, they didn't show up. So what I decided to do is I asked a carpenter friend of mine if he could build a library for me that I can put in front of my house. I tried to buy some, but they're a little bit expensive, I noticed. So he built it for me. And for 5 years, I've been putting books in the library that's chained to my fence outside. Well, my neighbors didn't like the idea at first. I remember bringing it up at a block club meeting. They thought that the children in the community, I live in Woodlawn, they thought they would have the books all over the street and all over the sidewalk and in their yard. So they objected, but I did it anyway. And since they had this objection, my plan was to monitor the library to make sure that the books were not thrown all over the sidewalk, in other people's yards, and in the street. And so I started that 5 years ago. And I'm telling you, my library is always empty. I fill it up in the summer, spring, and fall, and in a couple of days, it's empty again. And never have books been all over the place. They're not on the ground. They're not in the street. They're not in anybody else's yard. They're not on my yard. They are in that bookshelf. The young people in my community, they come get these books. I even had a young man about 8 years old, 2 summers ago. He knocked on my door and he said, "Can you get?" And he gave me a list of books that he had it written down, a list of books that he wanted by a Black male author. And he had the nerve to ask for it. I told him, "I'll come back in a couple of days. Give me a few days and I'll have your books for you." And I had those books for him. And since he had a nerve to knock on the door, ask for them, then I had to get them. So my library is hardly filled, even though I make sure I go to the thrift stores and on their half price days. I beg for books on Facebook. People send me books, or I go pick up books. I have a friend who works in the suburbs, and the library out there was giving away books. She said, "I got you 3 boxes of books. When can I drop them off?" So that's what I do in the community. I provide books because poor people books. They're paying rent, they're paying light, gas, heat in the wintertime. They're making sure they have food on the table. They don't have a lot to buy books. So that's what I do. And I encourage other people to also put a library outside. Put a library outside of your house. You would be surprised at the number of people that will come by your library. I've seen the little libraries in other places. I've seen them in Hart Park and other places. And they say, grab a book and bring a book.
That is wonderful. I think I'm gonna do that outside my house. I have boxes and boxes of books, and I'm thinking I don't want to throw out books because my parents instilled a love of books and a reverence and appreciation for books. So a book is just not something you throw out. That represents knowledge.
Yes, it does.
So now I have a place where I can share, even if it's old books, but still it's so. And like you say, people who are on a fixed income or they have difficulty getting. They can't buy books.
They can always afford to buy books. And I have a young lady who took my suggestion and made sure that her children had library cards, but she couldn't get them back all the time. She couldn't get them back in time, so she ended up having this huge library fine, bill that she couldn't afford to pay for. So books are important, and that's one of the ways that we can encourage our children to read, is that just have the books available.
Just have them
available.
That's a critical thing. And of course, our Moving Around with Deborah hosts every third Saturday says, "Welcome to the Sis Star family." Yes,
hey, Deborah.
She helps us travel all over the world through physical travel all over the world.
I know. I've been on her show before.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
wonderful lady. And she says it's personal. Wonderful. If a person has books to donate, how can we get them to you? Okay, well, tell us.
Okay,
is that
so
something that we can do?
You can go on my. I've got a website. I've got a website, and on the website, just fill out the contact information and write in the comments that you have books, and I will contact you immediately, and we can make arrangements to pick up those books. I'll pick them up.
Now you have people that will be listening to you all over the world. they may want to ship them to you. You never,
If you
never
want to
what you
ship
ask
them
for.
to me, I have a post office box. I can ship. I can
All
have
right.
you ship them there. I'm
Okay.
ready.
All right. Put it on the website. If you're shipping
I'm
books,
ready.
send it to this post
I will make
office.
sure
Be
I put
ready.
everything on the website.
There
I
you
have a
go.
post office box that I can use to have you ship those books. I
Well,
actually
that
have a.
is
I
fantastic.
got a box of books the other day from a friend of mine who now lives in Alabama. She shipped me
Ah,
books. Of course, I don't
yes.
want to put my address on the World Wide
Right.
Web, but go
Right.
to my
Just
website, fill out the contact
the
list
PO box.
there, and the contact form there, and I can make arrangements to have you ship me those books.
Mm. But that is powerful. And there really is a need for us to handle this crisis because it's
It
going to have
is.
an impact on how the people coming out of our school system can function in the world. We are now a world community, and other places, other countries are not dumbing down their children the way we're doing here. And so,
They're
how are
not.
you going to function on the world stage? You only speak in one language, and so many other people are multilingual because they're interacting with a global community
It
and
is a
people with different
problem
languages.
right now.
It's a
I'm
big
telling
problem.
you, in my college course for freshmen, I get young people who are fresh out of high school that cannot write a good paragraph. And
Wow.
I'm supposed to teach them how to write a 5 paragraph essay in 16 weeks.
Mm.
And they write for me like they're writing a text message. So they are writing,
But
but
they
they
speak
don't know how
text
to
talk.
code switch. In our day, when we grew up in school, we knew how to code switch. We knew
Right.
how to use ebonics with our
Yeah.
family, our friends, and our community. But at the same time, we knew when and how to use the English that is required for academics. We knew
You
how
have
to
your
do
home
both of
dialect,
those.
and then you have standard English, and you, like you said, you knew how to do that. It's just
We knew how
okay.
to do
Here
that.
you speak standard English. Here you speak
Yes.
your home dialect, and
Yes.
everybody understands that. Now our
Yep.
children only have one
Just
dialect that they
one.
learn, and then when it comes to even writing, all they know is the text talk language, which is abbreviated
Yeah.
speech and no punctuation. And
Yeah, I get it every day, every
yeah,
single day. So the first thing the conversation I have with them is I have real talk. You have been set up to fail.
that's real.
Society wants you to fail. And at your age, you don't have as many resources as you would have had as a young person in elementary and high school. So now it's on you. You have to figure out how to make them alive.
Yes,
And I'm
right.
here to help you. So I have to have that talk every semester. Otherwise, I get pushback.
Understand.
Well, I don't want to read this because it's boring, and I don't want to read that. It doesn't pertain to me. And that's okay. You can read whatever you want to read. However, these things, these classical books and classical subjects are subjects that you will see on standardized tests.
Yeah,
You
learn how
you
to
will
read
when you get ready to go to a 4-year university, you will see them on that entrance test. You will see
and
them on
other
the
people from other
placement test. You
places.
will see them on the GRE. You will see them on the ACT and SAT. So it's okay if you don't like it. I'm not crazy about it either. However, we can read things that pertain to you. We can do that, but we also have to slip in some of the what they call classics. We have to slip those in because you need to score higher. Your standardized test scores need to reflect your intelligence.
Absolutely.
What they call your intelligence. That
And
means you got
that's
to know about these things.
yeah, and and that's a very important point you've made because we have to keep reminding our children that they are brilliant, they are intelligent,
They
but they
are.
will get set up
They
to make
will.
them think that they're less intelligent by having
They
not having
will.
access to the things that
Yes.
other schools have. And then so
Mhm.
when they say, oh, your
Mhm.
test scores are low, and
Mhm.
the idea is that, oh, well, we're not smart enough. And we
Yes.
are brilliant, you know. And I
And
had
that's
the
what-
I had the experience of students when I was at DuSable Leadership Academy, students who brilliant minds, you know, writing rap lyrics and all kinds of things. And I knew they had the intelligence, but they, you know, bored with the so-called classic, don't want to read the Shakespeare, not enough books, and you know, don't want to take the book out of the locker and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of pushback.
Yeah.
But I, as a videographer, I said, well, let me take my skills and use them and a way to inspire them and show them that they really have the skills. So I took the
It was a great idea.
put on the board and said, we're going to each class was taking 5 different classes I was teaching. I said each class is going to come with a verse, and then we're going to perform it for the camera. We had so much fun. And
that's a great
we're gonna take
idea.
a break. We're going to take a break when we come back, and I'll show you the little video that we did.
All right, I love it.
That
Be creative, everybody. Just be creative.
Be creative. That's what we got to do.
Yeah.
And this was to encourage students to read. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll
Okay.
take a look at that. So we'll be right back after this quick break. So we want y'all to stick and stay, because we're here with Michelle Renee. We'll be right back after this break. So stay with us. Yes, we want you all to, if you're in and around the Chicagoland area, we want you all to be at the Soulful Chicago Book Fair. It'll be Little Black Pearl on 47th Street, February 15th. And
From
this
10 to 6.
From 10 to 6. So be there. And the exciting thing about these book fairs is that you get to meet authors from all over the world, and I mean, people have started coming here from overseas. You know, we got folks that coming in for these book fairs, and books take you all over the world. And so this is, you know, and the thing about it, I mean, there's a way you can teach I've seen people teach the so-called classics of Shakespeare and all the other things that, you know, maybe outside of African American culture. But if we are balanced in our teaching, then we can help our children appreciate these things. But we have to have a balance. And this is why I'm really grateful for the founders of DuSable Leadership Academy, who, you know, the founders of Betty Shabazz International Charter School, which my child went to, Barbara Sizemore Academy. I mean, these are Hakeem Matabuti, Safisha Matabuti, and all their staff, you know, coming out of the era of the 60s, which we understood we needed to embrace our culture and our heritage. And that was what was missing in our schools and our education. So they have African-centered education, and that was helping our children feel a wholeness that you don't feel in a society that's always trying to make you feel invisible, like you don't measure up and you're not quite right, something wrong with your culture and everything. So the students coming out of that school and that whole school experience had such high self-esteem. And it's a difference when you raise children to read and master literacy, because then they know they have the intelligence. And that was when I saw what was happening with the high schoolers, I realized that they needed to recognize that they do have the power, they do have the intelligence. So we gave them an opportunity to use all their brilliance. And one student, he was one of those that, you know, wrote rap lyrics and was always distracted in school because he was doing his. And I said, okay. And he said, well, I want to do my own. So anyway, we're going to show you what they produced to encourage young people to read.
And God stepped out on space, and he looked around and said, I'm lonely. I'll make me a world. If
this stuff boy, man.
Hey, y'all need to do it. Y'all need to don't be afraid to look in your book. You might get a hook and learn how to cut.
You think you're intelligent, but you're relevant. If you don't practice, elegant.
Vocabulary is very scary.
But you can use your dictionary.
Yeah.
If you don't know punctuation, then you need an education. So appreciation by showing a dedication to improve the situation and get an occupation.
What else you need for family showing your sign?
Read the book to learn to read, so you don't be the one to roll that weed.
You better believe you can achieve. If you read the book, you will succeed. Read.
When you read fiction and you get an addiction, your imagination can unlock a combination.
Reading is a requirement for your retirement.
You read poetry and a short story.
And novels that the authors write.
That's what makes our class return.
I
ain't you, I'm still outside.
read it and you'll be as wise.
How long is done by? We wear the mask.
Why we gotta learn this, Rags?
You can use this to comprehend, because when you learn it, this ain't the end.
Yeah.
You have to keep studying till the morning.
Then you'll start seeing good grades begin.
If you read, you expand your mind, then you know it's your time to shine. Read.
Hey, hit that beat, fuck.
Hit that rap. Yo,
Chill.
education is the power. I devour any power, knock any problem down. Like the two twin towers got power without it. You can take the heat from me if the teacher ain't teaching, and she getting free money.
Whoa!
We dummies in the situation. It's called Canaan, and it's real plain to see. I come in all our textbooks, I used to talk slavery, saying we untamed animals. That's real make-believe. My peers are hypnotized by blinging big figures. We all kings and queens, so you gotta be called niggas. Love explicit content, fill our mind with nonsense. On the topic of education, we ain't got a comment. Kill without a consequence, like it's an accomplishment. But this cannot yet be, this is not yet me. And if we don't realize our potential, then we're not yet free.
All right. Now that was great. Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Yes.
That was wonderful. That is a perfect example
tried in the past.
of
Tried
how
doesn't work, man.
teachers and parents can be creative. Mix what pertains to them now, what they love now, with the classic.
Yes, that's what you got to do.
And they don't only have to read Shakespeare as a classic. There are a lot of Black authors that are now on standardized tests.
Yes.
Let them write those stories out. And the thing about it, in order to wrap the story out, to create a rhyme about the story, they're going to have to read the story to understand it.
Yes.
They're going to have to look in the dictionary, find out what these words are that the writer is using. They're going to have to learn how to use those words in different sentences. So they're reading.
Right.
So I said before, be creative.
Be creative. I mean,
be creative.
That's what teachers, and that's what your show will help a lot of these educators do. Be creative. Do some different things. Now, you've got some statistics here. We can kind of give people a breakdown of what actually is happening. You want to take a look at that? Because
yes, I pulled these up from the National Education. What website is that? National Education website. I'll give you the website in a minute. I should have had it ready, but I didn't. I'm sorry. So these are fresh statistics. We'll be able to get 2025 soon. But it said that 31% of CPS students in grades 3 through 8 met or exceeded reading proficiency standards. Now that's the 31%. That's a
less
good
than
number.
half.
That's a good number because it is 3 points more than it was in 5 years before that.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what that means is if there are 31% students who met that criteria, that means there are how many? 69% did not meet or exceed that reading expectation. And again, that's 5 points increase from 2025 to 23. So a year before, it was 5 points less.
Wow.
Which means it was what's 31 minus 25? 26?
Ooh.
Yes. And the thing is, there were issues pre-pandemic. And nobody was ready to force everybody to learn online. So of course, the issues post-pandemic, they're bad.
That was another thing.
But they were already bad.
You know, well, like you said, a lot of families, a lot of homes don't have computers. They don't have laptops. They don't have literate parents who know computers.
They don't have books. There are children who don't have books in the house.
Yeah, don't have books in the house.
They don't have
parents who read. I mean, that's real.
That is real. So, and then when you look at the data from the state of Illinois, 27% of students in grade 3 through 8 met or exceeded the reading proficiency standards. 27% met or exceeded. What's the number that did not meet or exceed?
That is, what is that? 73?
It's 73%. 73% of the students in the state of Illinois did not.
Now, if y'all can figure that out in your head, ask yourself, you know,
73.
Why? Because that's another thing. Our math scores. Yes.
We have a literacy crisis, and we need to stop ignoring it. We've ignored it for too long.
Yes.
And as far as the whole nation, when you look at African American students, they scored 42 points below everybody else.
Oh man.
Hispanic students scored 37 points below everybody else in 2024.
I want to take a look at this for a second. I want to take a look at this because a lot of times Hispanic students, English isn't even their first language, but yet there were less that scored lower than African Americans.
Because you know why? Because I don't know what our current administration is doing, but in the past, before this year, they had those ESL classes where they would teach them the English language. Think about, we never had that.
We never had ESL.
We taught ourselves.
We speaking. Right.
We had that. Everybody else has that.
Yes.
But even still, their scores are still low.
And, you know, speaking of language, and I'm hoping that we can get perhaps to have on your show an individual who teaches how the language that we developed, which is what they call a pidgin language, a meshing of several languages that we had to come up with because we came from different language groups, how that ties to the original African languages that we use, how this language we speak, our dialect, it does have some grammar rules, it does have specific structure, but we don't know this. We just know this is what we speak, but we never understood how to, I guess, make the transition from our pidgin English, our evolved English form from standard English, because we did not have ESL. So now we end up scoring lower on tests and then getting the impression that we're less intelligent. And
the thing is, though, that's true. And in the 70s, I was in so many workshops and different sessions that dealt with that. But this is 2025. I don't want us to use that as an excuse anymore.
Right. We need to just learn the language. Just learn
We
it.
need to just learn the language, period, because we're here. Our children are here.
Yes.
The numbers and data that I just showed, it comes from the National Education Association. So
Yes.
you can go to the National Education Association, or you can also go to a website for the state of Illinois policy. Go to that website. You'll see all the statistics. They're public. They're public. They're not being hidden from us. So I just don't want to use the excuse of we didn't. I said earlier a few minutes ago that we didn't have ESL language, but that's an excuse.
Yeah, because we 5 generations out of slavery. I mean, we need,
Come on,
we got to get back to that piece.
And there's so small things that we can do. I didn't know until I started looking at the data that 2 out of 3 children who live in low socioeconomic cities and states, they don't have books of their own.
Don't even have a book.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that I started this library. I have no clue which children in my community are getting the books out of my library, but I do know I put maybe 2 in spring, summer, not so much in the wintertime, of course, but in spring, summer, and fall, I fill that the 2 shelves in that bookshelf up with 2 boxes of books twice a month.
Wow.
And I've been doing that for 5 years. I have no clue who's getting these books. Sometimes there are parents who get the books for their children. Sometimes parents bring their children to the books, my little library. I heard noise outside one evening as the sun was going down, and somebody was on my porch, and I looked out the window, and there was young people, teenagers, who opened my gate, sat on my porch, and were reading books from my library.
Wow.
You think I stopped them? No, I did not. I just simply asked, make sure you close the gate when you're done.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful.
So but there's small things that we can do. So yes, you said you wanted to start a library in front of your house. Please do it.
Yes.
And anybody else who's listening, please do it. This situation, we can't leave it to the school systems anymore because that hasn't worked for us. We need to bring it back to the community.
Yes, we do.
Families, churches, community centers, your neighbors, whatever children are in, as an adult, the children in my circle, I need to provide some type of literacy things for them. The other thing that I do is all the smaller children in my family that are 6 and below, their parents can bring them to my house. They make an appointment, and I do some reading classes. I make sure they know the sounds of their alphabet. I make sure they know how to blend those sounds into words. I make sure that they know how to read 3 and 4 letter words, and they have a nice sight word vocabulary. I read to them.
That makes a big difference.
I dictate stories to them where they can write them down. So what you can do for the young people around you, imagine the impact that we've had if we could have an army of parents, family, friends, community people, churches, community centers, just an army of people in our communities, making sure that the children that they encounter had books.
That is critical. That we have to make that part of our culture again. And as Asada says, knowledge of anti-literacy laws created just for Black people need to be made known as an example of what we need to use as a stepping stone to promote our literacy. That's right. Just remembering the fact that it was against the law for us to read. So what does that tell you? How powerful is reading? That is the key to liberation, is being able to read. And what I find fascinating is that when you hear the language read, that is what helps you to learn the language. So when you read, you're hearing it in your mind, you're hearing the sounds. That's what helps you learn that standard English, because you're hearing it as you read. And how many of us African Americans who grew up reading early, and then you go to school, and maybe a predominantly Black school, and then you have you have students saying things like, "Oh, you sound white," which
Yeah.
What that really means is that I have mastered the standard English language, and that's what that is, because
I'm
I
laughing
read as a child.
because we heard that when I was a child, way back in those days, but we still hear the same thing. They tell my daughter, they've been telling my daughter that since she was uh 6 years old. You talk like you're white. What does
Yes.
that mean?
Yes, because that's a sign that you have learned the language. And when you
That's
read to
it.
your children, they have mastered the language, and so they can speak it. That's what that is.
Yes,
And
that's what
Asada
that
says
is.
we have a little free library on 61st and Cottage for the community as well. If you're in
Yes,
Chicago, you know where
see
that's
that
at.
often.
In the,
Yes,
in the
I put
neighborhood. Yes.
in that before. Yes, I have. I'm right across from Jules.
Yes, and that's so powerful to have books
Yep.
available so that we are
Yep.
encouraging reading. And Zelda Speaks says another small thing we can do is help our children write their own books. They love seeing themselves in action. Let's help them.
Yes,
That's exactly what my father did
absolutely.
with those books from
Yes.
the post office. Just
Yep.
give a child an empty book with lines and a pen or pencil, and let them just write, and they will create stories.
These are
That's
small things that don't cost a lot or cost
yes.
anything. That does not take a lot of time.
Don't take
Even, when you're watching a movie, instead of putting our children in front of a television and having them watch the movie by themselves alone, watch the movie with them and
and have
talk to them about
about it.
the theme of the movie, the what's happening in the movie and the plot. Talk to them about theme, plot, and the tone of the movie. Talk to them about thinking through the actions of the characters in a critical way. Talk to them about the movie because it is language. That's why it's important for us to talk to our children, our babies, not in baby talk. Well, all the time. I did talk to my babies in baby talk a little bit, but I also talk to them in English, rather real English, where they can hear and understand. I was in a class the other day, and one of the students asked a question about the assignment, and she said, Professor Israel, is we supposed to do so and so? And
How many times do we hear that stuff? That the ebonics in the classroom, and you gotta correct it, So what?
You gotta
hear it all
correct
the
it.
time, and
So yeah, that it touches my heart. It makes me cringe. It makes me sad. All of that. It's just a lot of work to be done.
a lot of work to be done. And something that my
a lot
mother
of work to be done.
It's a lot of work to be done. Something my mother would always, and I thought about this when I had my own child. She said, never talk baby talk to your child. Speak to them in complete sentences because they're learning the language that you speak. So that's what my daughter never, no, I'm going to speak to you exact sentences, enunciate, because you're listening so that you can imitate. Do not imitate your child. Your child is imitating you.
For those students that I have, the freshmen that are 18 and over, that come to me and ask me a question like that, what I suggest to them is that they watch documentaries or watch certain news shows so that they can get accustomed to hearing what the written language should sound like.
Wow. You gotta be.
And so I make it an assignment where they have to keep a journal as to what documentary they watched. They don't even have to describe the documentary. Just tell me what it was. Tell me the little tagline about it. I give them a list of documentaries that I have watched so that throughout my lessons and throughout my assignments, I can reference those and I'll know that they actually watched them. Because they have not heard what the written language, English language, should sound like in all those 13 years of school.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's a small thing too. And when I have 5 sisters, and when I talk to them, we talk, like we talk to our sisters. But in a classroom, I make sure that I use appropriate language because I know that some of my students need to hear that.
They need to hear it, and
They
if you
need
don't
to
hear
hear
it, you won't
You
know
won't
what
know
it
what
sounds like.
it look
Now,
like on paper if you don't hear it.
yeah, you got to hear it. And Footsteps to Enrichment says, watch the movie on mute with the closed captions on. Now, that's a good one.
That's a
Yeah,
good idea.
you can't
I
know what's going
like
on unless you
that
can read.
idea.
That's a
Yes.
good idea.
I never thought of that. I do watch the captions, but I also listen to it. But that's a really great
Yeah,
idea.
that'll make you learn how to read, because you don't know
Yes,
what's
for
happening
sure.
unless you can read it.
And look how small a thing that is. That's a small thing
Yeah,
to do.
small thing to do. That
Not yet, because
encourage
we talked about a strategy that will increase literacy that's going to cost any money. We haven't even mentioned those.
right.
None of this costs money.
None, and that's the thing. It doesn't cost anything.
Doesn't
No
cost
money, but it can
anything.
enhance your literacy. And Bridget Scarborough says that is such great advice. Engaging with your children about what they are watching. You can
What
learn
they're
something
watching.
from that interaction
Yeah.
as well. You learn how they think too. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised.
Yep.
And when you listen to how your children think and see how they observe the world and the ideas that they share, it's a learning experience for the adults as well, because we need to understand how our children think.
But we need to not raise another generation of children that look like me that don't know how to read. Come on, y'all.
Got to know how to read. That's essential
build
to
their
life.
lives, make their lives better if they don't know how to read, if they don't know how to think, if they don't know how to think their way through situations. How can that happen?
Everything from knowing how to read a contract when you're getting ready to accept an assignment or something. Everything you have to be able to read. If you're going to be traveling abroad, you have to be able to read, because you're going to have to read instructions on where to go and how to get there and everything.
Yeah.
And how can you begin the process of human interaction?
It's not possible. So their lives will not be as full as it needs to be.
Yes. Ooh, wow. Yeah, I told you this time was gonna go quick. We only got a couple of minutes left. Now have we?
You know what? I want to show this really quick video that is. I got it from this one right here.
Yeah, let's see this.
It's 2 minutes, I believe.
We got 2 minutes to show it. Let's see the video.
Uh-oh. Oh shoot. I need help.
Is it not playing or?
Yeah. So okay.
Let's see.
All right, guys. I'm new at this. This is my very first time, and I figured something was gonna happen. I'm so happy that Naima is here to help me through this.
All right.
I just wanted to play
this is a slide. Is a video, or is it a video or a slide?
It's slide 6, and it's a video there.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Now, is it on your desktop where you can hit the play button?
I'm trying to do that. And when I click that, it goes back. Oh, I'm messing up. Sorry.
Oh, well, that's the way you learn.
That's
You're a
the
teacher,
way I
you know
learn.
that.
Next time I come on, guys, I will have this down pat. So okay. Well,
now, so on your desktop, did you see the little arrow where you can hit it on your desktop?
See the arrow on my desktop.
Because you're sharing. Well, let's see, we've shared it.
Yeah.
But you're sharing it from the image on your desktop.
Okay, so here I can do this. This is an educator who teaches 8th graders.
Oh.
And she is speaking to the people in her community, in our community, because this is not just a city of Chicago issue. This is an issue that is nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
It is nationwide. Okay, so I've got the video on my desktop, and
if you hit play, will it play on here?
You can at least hear it.
Are you hearing it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. We're not hearing it.
You're
So
not hearing it. Okay. Well, I'm just going to summarize it. This educator who doesn't even look like us, she's sounding the alarm for the entire nation. And there are many educators like her that are sounding this alarm for the entire nation, because the problem is not just with us, people who look like us, but she teaches eighth grade. And she says that she's got 125 something eighth graders that she sees 90 minutes a day, and 3 of them meet the reading expectation for the
3. Oh my God.
yes, 3 of them. I was just dumbfounded. And so she and other teachers are trying to sound this alarm too. We don't hear about them. Well, she says 2 of them are reading on grade level.
Okay, we saw
55 of her students read between 2nd and 3rd grade, and they're in 8th grade. So this is an issue nationwide, not just in the city of Chicago. So there are things that we need to do as a community in order to make sure that we are addressing this literacy crisis.
So here it says that children should learn to read from pre-K to 3rd grade. So that means you really need to be teaching your children to read before they start school. And a lot of parents don't understand it. They just figure, okay, I'll send you to school and you just learn anything. But really, this practice should start before they go to school. They should be hearing you read to them at home and teaching them.
As a baby, read to your babies, read to them.
To them in the womb.
In the womb. Now, these numbers are directly linked to the school to prison pipeline, because they're saying that most of the people that are incarcerated read below a 3rd grade level. So they're and when we have these statistics, then they begin to build new jails and prisons for our people based on the data of literate students in 4th grade.
Wow.
Because if our children have not learned how to read by 3rd grade, then they won't be able to do what they need to do from 4th to 6th grade, which is practice reading. They should already have the reading skills. Now they're practicing in those 3 grade levels. So that by the time they reach 7th grade, then they should be reading to learn.
All the way through 12.
All the way through high school. They should be reading in order to learn. But they can't read to learn if they haven't had the practice reading from 4th to 6th grade, and they don't have the basic reading skills from preschool to 3rd grade. How can they practice reading in 4th grade? That's why these numbers and statistics are linked to the school to prison pipeline, which is real.
But we must choose that is not going to be our destiny. We must choose that we are going to be leaders in this nation. We're going to create a different culture that is honoring reading and literacy and intelligence. And we are going to be the leaders in the creation of a new society.
Starting right now. Yes.
Reading and knowledge and communication, as you say, starting now.
Starting right
That's why you're here, Michelle Renee with Education Nation. Wow. Well, thank you so very much. I'm looking forward to your shows. I'm looking forward to being inspired with more ideas, like starting my own home library right outside my house.
Yes.
I'm going to have it right outside my gate. I'm going to have my bookshelves. Look for
all right. I'll tell you where to go to get your books to put out there after you finish giving away the ones you got at home.
I finished giving away the 10 boxes of books I got in the house. Yeah.
Yes, I with that for sure.
Well, thank you so very much. I'm excited. Welcome to the Female Solution Global Broadcast, and look forward every second
and
fourth Sunday.
And 4th Sunday at 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock noon. Look for Education Nation with Michelle Renee. And of course, you know to come on back tomorrow for Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks at 7 a.m. Central Time. And until that time, continue to shine your light.
Okay.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jaref. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.